ShockBoxx Gallery for the show called PowerHouse, where a number of female artists are exhibiting their work on August 3rd at the ShockBoxx. How did your artistic journey start?
Well, my grandpa was an artist, and not gonna lie, he was a little crazy. But having him as kind of the only other artist in the family definitely served as some kind of fuel for my creative abilities, and really because of him, I've been doing it ever since I was very little.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
I have some pretty weird dreams. Usually after I have some sort of really vivid, weird dream, I'll jot some ideas down, and maybe later I'll try and recreate it, put my own spin on it.
I mean, it's really impressive. You're not out of school yet, and you're already doing a show at a gallery with a number of really powerful women. So, and you're probably one of the youngest artists here. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
It started with Sara just proposing the idea for the show to me.
Right.
And then the program artists are automatically included, right? So Kymm, Theodosia, Rebecca, Sara, Emerald. And then we kicked it out to Drica and a couple other artists that we like. It was all hand selected, so there was no open call for this thing. It was just people who we feel like their work is not only powerful, but cutting edge.
Right.
Make sense?
How did the conversation start?
The involvement of Patti for this show, I mean, Patti's super involved with the gallery, and her gallery, Fun Gallery, has always been like a beacon for what we're doing here, right? Like they were so willing to just do crazy stuff. So Sara was the one that said she wants this to be centered around Patti. As an artist, as a gallery owner, as a psychologist, just as like a man in the world, right? It's always been important to me to have women around, on the same footing or even on a higher footing. Like there's so much power in female anything that I like having around, and to get out of the way and to celebrate it and to let them have the stage. I mean, most of the time they do anyway. The only role I've played in curating the show at all is, like, take Drica, for example. I called her and said, hey, like, give me something different for this, right? Like, step on the gas, get out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And that's been something we've tried to do just with the gallery.
What is PowerHouse going to do to Hermosa Beach, to the South Bay? How is this show going to be perceived on August 3rd? And what is it going to do to the community out here?
Well, I hope it sets things on its ear yet again. We've tried with any show that we do when we shift gears to just do something that's a little more risky and a little more bold. So I hope it continues to inspire the community to show up, right? We've got a reputation now that what we're putting out is, I don't know, edgy, cutting edge, experimental, different, diverse. So I like that when people show up, they're like, wait, what? What have you done? Like we did a show, you remember the first show, where everybody, like, we let graffiti artists paint on the walls. And a week later, Laura Schuler and I did a show where we had closed the door, painted everything white, and had like a traditional sort of fine art, abstract art show. Right. And people were showing up and they were pissed because they were like, wait, I brought my friend to see the graffiti. And it's like, don't sleep. Like, we told you that show was last week. Like, if you don't come,
you're going to miss it.
You're going to miss it.
Thank you for bringing the voice to the women. What does the theme PowerHouse mean to you? In the context of what's going on here with all the women coming together? And
I think it's so beautiful that we are having this awakening, and then to really, really, really go deep down and see how powerful we are. And if you look back on the days, and the woman had no rights and the woman couldn't do anything, and now we are here, like, facing life the way we are supposed to be, and it's just bringing more power, and even artists itself, they used to have no voice, so it's just so beautiful to see this awakening and having more and more opportunities to show how powerful we are and to really trust our gut. And it's like, yes, I'm gonna do this. It doesn't matter. I'm not even worried about the outcome. I'm just gonna show it off. I'm just gonna show it up. And then whatever it is, it is. And I trust myself enough and like this other group of women that we're gonna do good, you know, and we're gonna make people feel feelings, you know, and that's a good art show for me.
Thank you so much, Drica.
I grew up born and raised in Hermosa, and all of these places that I loved so much were getting torn down, like replaced with trendy coffee shops, stuff like that. So I kind of started doing the opposite, where I take buildings that I was emotionally attached to and I already really loved, and then put them on paper and have those forever.
Are you challenging yourself for the show on August 3rd? Are you doing something a little different, or?
Yes, I am. I'm either doing buildings or I'm doing self-portraits, and I usually don't show self-portraits because they're very vulnerable for me, but I am going to have one up in the show this time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's completely different. Like,
How did you become part of the show? Is it, you said you did a solo show here a couple months ago?
Yeah, so I've been showing here for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of trickled in with the buildings. It really fit the vibe here. Celebrated Hermosa, celebrated LA culture and the art scene, and then Mike offered me a show that was themed around that. So I had my first show where it was all my buildings that I loved, and after that I've just been trying to get my art in as much as I can here.
All right, Eleanor, thank you so much for being part of the interview, and good luck on the shoot. Sara, you are an abstract artist. We have heard many things about you and saw your work at ShockBoxx before. You're one of the program artists here at ShockBoxx, and you have decided to take a turn and curate a show of all female artists entitled PowerHouse. What is your process as an artist? I feel like right now we're part of a process for the show itself.
It is. Well, it's funny. My process is a lot in my head first. For this particular show, I modeled for a long time, so it just felt naturally to do like a photo shoot. I used to put photo shoots together all the time, so it just seemed like the next best step is to promote, like, especially all our beautiful artists. Like, it doesn't hurt. But the process, for my own personal work, it's a lot of thinking outside the studio, and then I get back in, and there's a lot of gestural, and then there's a lot of structure. So first it's like get all the crazies out, and then have like some kind of structure around it. And I think that kind of says my life in general is having like a loose outline. So even for this show, like I wanted everyone to come dressed as they would be, as if it was their own opening. Like,
and it's very like generational as well, like different generations.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted. I wanted, like, even though, and everybody is like, there we have 2 girls from high school, and we have girls in their 30s and 40s, and Patti's icon. So it's like, it's just, I love having like different like people in their different levels of their career, but still equally badass in all of it. So it's just really fun, especially the younger girls, seeing them like what they're going to be like in 10 years and what their work is going to be like. So it's like, it's important to like give notice to these artists and like push
Your
them.
daughter is here too as well. Isn't it wonderful that she's experiencing all of this?
I love bringing her along. I think because she's used to me being a weird artist, like it's not really cool for her, but maybe one day she'll think it's cool. I don't know. She'll probably be an accountant.
Thank you, and good luck with everything.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. Cool. And you're a self-taught artist?
I'm a self-taught artist. I've been painting pretty much all my life. My mom was an artist, and she was my mentor, I suppose. I didn't study art, but I've been painting pretty much all my life. And moving from London over here, I just decided that's it. I'm going to do it full time, and I just want to explore the opportunity of doing it just full time and see how I get on.
Where do you draw inspiration from for your art?
It's life, people, observing people, psychology, all sorts, situations in life, how we behave. I was very inspired by psychology. I have this kind of like thing about psychology, and so I just like putting people together. So I have created this visual language of figures that I create these stories. So I just put them in situations, just see what happens. So I develop stories basically, and I like creating stories where people can actually have a look and associate, or just see themselves in it and just give them sort of an insight or more thought about their own life.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
I really love kind of the energy here because it's an experimental energy and it's a very freeing thing. It's like try what you want, try anything that you want. Do something big, do something, really go outside of yourself, I feel like. And that's, you don't always have that in a gallery, and that's really a blessing, and it's really fun. Of course, you always have the commercial side and the artistic side, and sometimes they don't always mix. And so it's fun to have a place where I really feel supported and encouraged to do whatever I want and be as outrageous as I want.
Where do you draw inspiration from for your abstract work?
I draw this series. A lot of it comes from this. A lot of the stuff is that I'm working on now is abstracted from my neighborhood. So I'll on my daily runs or on my walks. I live downtown, which is in this process of really rapid gentrification, and I've lived there since 2003. So I've lived there for a while, and I've seen the whole process. And there's a lot of tension, and it's good in some ways, and it's really, really hard and really bad in other ways. So for me, kind of a way of dealing with that in my own position in it was I'll run around the neighborhood, walk around the neighborhood, and I'll take pictures of tagging and graffiti and writing. I'm not a graffiti writer, but there's something aesthetic about just plain tagging that I love, especially when it's in a place that's it comes from a place of frustration and anger in downtown sometimes because of that, and it's kind of like a voice of outrage at what's happening and a lack of control of what's happening.
Absolutely, thank you. Awesome.
So I started a local art and music magazine 4 years ago, and I have always wanted to take it in a direction that's not just the magazine, but kind of take the concept of the magazine and like the sense of community I was trying to build and kind of put it into a physical space. So I kind of started taking it into the direction of curating shows.
And you also make art?
I do. So the reason I started the magazine actually is I'm a graphic designer and a writer. So I've always loved art. I've always loved music. And yeah, I have a degree in design and journalism. So it's just kind of merging everything I love together. But yeah, I've always grown up being super exposed to art, and I'm not originally from LA, but when I moved out here almost 7 years ago, it's just something like sparked, and I was like, there are people producing awesome stuff every single day. Everybody has a story. Like, this just needs to be captured. So yeah, thank you. I'm excited to see how all this is coming together.
Patti, Astor, thank you so much for taking the time to do an interview here with us today. How are you feeling?
I love it. I think, I moved to Hermosa Beach almost 8 years ago, and it's just the art scene here has been, really, really a great bonus. And working with ShockBoxx is fantastic, and meeting all these new people that are it's really inspirational.
Absolutely. It's almost like it's happening all over again, huh?
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you why, because this is an organic scene. It's like people are, the meter's not running. People are doing this because they want to explore and they want to do, new things.
Absolutely. And how great is it that you are part of the scene here, taking your experience from the 70s and 80s in New York and inspiring everyone else around, and everyone next door in ShockBoxx Gallery is waiting for you as a final missing piece of the puzzle of all this female empowerment in a new and up-and-coming area in the South Bay. So that's really wonderful. How do you feel about the connection and the parallels between Fun Gallery and ShockBoxx?
It's a scene that's developing, from real life. It's not like, oh, let's make money, let's make copies of Keith Haring and Jean-Michel Basquiat. Believe me, I've seen plenty of those, so I don't really need to see that anymore. Like I used to say at the Fun Gallery, like, Because they used to have this thing, and this was way back in the day, you guys don't even know what these are, but people used to bring around their slides, you know, and they would just bring which were pictures of their paintings, you know, and go into this whole big long explanation of why they were so great and everything. And we just said, like, you know what, we're not going to look at slides, you know, go out, do something, prove yourself, then you can maybe get to the fun gallery.
Absolutely, and this is exactly what's happening here, right?
Yeah, it's
people
a lot,
proving themselves. This is all part of the process of the show coming together on August 3rd. What are you doing? What is your...
I am actually putting in 2 art pieces.
Oh, very exciting.
I know. Yes, I'm going to do 2 pieces. This one's called 5 Wild Women, and it is the only one left. It's the women that really influenced me over my career in New York, which was pretty much 75 to 85. Anya Phillips, found in the Mud Club. Anita Sarko, first woman DJ at the Mud Club. Cookie Mueller.
Wow.
John Waters, star and wonderful poet, writer. And Tina Lahotsky, who I made wonderful films with, Snake Woman, and she was the queen of the Mud Club. And so I'm going to do a piece that, like, with the 5 of us. And then I'm going to do another piece that is about the women in my family. Because this is like a really funny show. When they proposed the show to me, I was like, oh my God, this is only the 2nd women's event I've ever done.
Oh, no. I don't believe that.
In my entire life. And the first one was WOLF, W-L-F, baby. Women's Organized Liberation Front. We were like a running street fighting group with Columbia SDS in '69, which is another story.
And you're bringing all of these women into the show on August 3rd.
Yes.
To be part of what is happening here today with all these artists coming together. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel, you know, that it's one of the most gratifying facets of my career is when people say to me, you have influenced me. And isn't that what art is all about?
Absolutely. Transcending all boundaries and penetrating to the minds of all different generations. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We're very, very excited to have you as part of the show and on camera.
Woohoo!
We're ready for you, Patti.
It's gonna be awesome!
Thank you.
Don't fall.